Starting live video. We are live.
Wow.
Ooh,
Wow.
Things are hot here in Gyra tonight. It's hot weather. It's a hot MC up here. Thundercloud, welcome to you to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Thunderclouds wash away the garbage and they leave rainbows after rain. Everyone knows Mum calls me James. Welcome to Wednesday Words once again. Everybody out there in Facebook and YouTube too, all the way around the other side of the world. I think there's even been a few in like Tunisia or something like that, in Madagascar.
Wow.
So they were like, whoa, YouTube metrics are like telling us where there's people watching all around the world. So to begin the night, we will acknowledge that we're on Bambai country and Kamilaroi country here in Gyra, and acknowledge a continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present and emerging, and also acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. This Friday night we've got our first birthday party, our second birthday party on April Fool's Night, the 1st of April. So you're all invited at 7 o'clock for about an hour and a half of a bit of poetry, and then a bit of dancing and music as well as after that, and some tucker as well. And if you're listening out there, you're also invited too.
Multitudes,
heaps of it.
We've got plenty of room here.
Yeah, there is. There's a big space to man. What have I been doing this week? A bit of practicing. Painting the stage up the front. The front of the stage, adding a bit to the artwork that our friend Rory started. You have to get up here and do a bit there, Steve.
Yeah.
Add to it. It's a collaborative effort, so if anyone else wants to add to the stage, just shout out and spend a bit of time just like chilling in some art space.
Is that human survival, mate? Collaborative effort?
Oh, look, no,
You don't have to answer that.
it's not actually. No. Human thrival. Yeah, the age of
Yes,
thrival.
that's right.
Yeah. Also, so that's Friday the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. Ghostly Fool's Night. It's come dressed as a ghost or a fool. If you want to come as dressed as a fool, none of you really have to dress up, so... but that's all right. That's why we're here as
I
poets.
thought you were coming as a fool, James.
I'm a jester.
All right.
Jester gigolo. I'll be there in my dreams, eh? Right, on that note, we'll get down to some more seriousness, and why not start with the bard, William Shakespeare. It's not even Australian, but because he had such an influence on the English language, he invented over 400 or so words that are now in use. In his writing, he used over 25,000 different words. Like, that's a seriously big vocabulary. Most people use maybe 800 to 3,000 in general conversation. Anyway, instead of saying, excuse me, bleep, bleep the bleep and bleep, 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 well, we've got young people here tonight, so we've got to watch our language. She has got headphones on, but anyway, she probably doesn't want to hear this because I was inspired to look up a bit of King Lear because last week Gabriel wore a t-shirt with a quote from King Lear on it. So, I'm going to look up King Lear, and someone on Saturday morning at the market here passed me a 3-volume set of English poetry, like the complete English poetry library in 3 volumes. I don't know how they worked that out, but anyway, from King Lear. And I'm not going to read out a whole lot. I just was really impressed how, like the King Lear, if you don't know, it's about King Lear breaking up his fortune and whatever with his daughters. And they say Shakespeare had some really good disses and cursing But this one like takes the cake. And this is King Lear. I have to look like King Lear. I'm mad. I'm like,
Show your club.
I'm not angry, ain't I? Reference to one of Doug's earlier poems. I prithee, daughter, do not make me mad. I will not trouble thee, my child. Farewell. We'll no more meet, no more see one another, but yet thou art my flesh, my blood, my daughter, or rather a disease that's in my flesh, which I must needs call mine. Thou art a boil, a plague sore, an embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood. That's all. I'll leave it there. I'm like on the peak of his anger and cursing and calling his daughter an embossed carbuncle.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's pretty rough.
yeah.
wow, man.
An embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood. Wow. Oh, I know. So instead of using the F word or the C word, there you go. You're an embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood.
That's what Prince Charles called the new extension to the National Gallery in London 10 years ago. But he didn't attribute it to Shakespeare. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Say called Megan.
That's to come, undoubtedly.
All right. So moving right along, we'll get out of England now, into the New England, and one of my favourite Judith Wright bits of poetry. It's pretty well known around the traps and stuff. Judith Wright was born May 31, 1915 here in Armidale, well, just down the road in Armidale, about like 30 minutes. She was a prolific poet and environmentalist, short story writer, published more than 50 books. She was an environmentalist, social activist campaigning for Aboriginal land rights. She believed that the poet should be concerned with national and social problems. She was a founding member of the Wildlife Preservation Society of Queensland. She died in Canberra aged 85 on the 25th of June 2000. And up there in the valley in Brisbane, they've got like the Judith Wright Centre now, all dedicated to her and stuff, writers and poets and whatever. This is it's south of my days, and it's I guess it's this beautiful weather that we've had today, all this wind and rain and like, and that's, you know, beautiful and stuff, because I'm Thundercloud and I'm allowed to like thunder and like lightning and wind and
Very animated, James. Very animated.
South of My Days by Judith Wright. South of my days circle, part of my blood's country, rises up that tableland, high, delicate outline of bony slopes wincing under the winter, low trees, blue-leaved and olive outcropping granite. Clean, lean, hungry country. The creek's leaf silenced, willow choked, the slope a tangle of medlar and crabapple branching over and under, blotched with green lichen, and the old cottage lurches in for shelter. Oh, the cold black frost night, the walls draw into the warmth, and the old roof cracks its joints. The slung kettle hisses the leak on the fire. Hardly to be believed that summer will turn up again. Someday, in a wave of rambler roses, thrust its hot face in here to tell yet another yarn. A story old Dan can spin into a blanket against the winter. 70 years of stories he clutches round his bones. 70 years are hived in him like old honey. Drove him that year, Charleville, the Hunter, 1901 it was, and the drought beginning. 60 head left at the McIntyre, the mud round them, hardened like iron. And the old yellow boy died in the sulky ahead with the gear. But the horse went on, stopped at Sandy Camp and waited in the evening. It was the flies we seen at first, swarming like bees. Came to the Hunter, 300 head of 1,000, krill to keep them alive, and the river was dust. All mustering up in the bogongs in autumn, when the blizzards came early, brought them down. We brought them down, what aren't there yet, or driving for cobs on the run, up from Tamworth, Thunderbolt, at the top of Hungry Hill, and I give him a wing. I wouldn't wait too long, Fred, not if I was you. The troopers are just behind, coming for that job you did at Hillgrove. He went like a loony, him on his big black horse. Oh, they slide and they vanish as he shuffles the years like a pack of conjurer's cards. True or not, it's all the same. And the frost on the roof cracks like a whip and the back log break into ash. Wake, old man, this is winter and the yarns are over. No one's listening. South of my day's circle, I know it dark against the stars, the highland country, full of old stories that still go walking in my sleep. Yeah, doesn't that just take you on a journey? Like, yeah. And I'll tell you for sure, my way I read that has certainly improved. Like, the more I've done it, I think that's probably the best I've ever done. So, yay, woo! Now, there's some pretty crazy yarns out there, and one of them, I didn't write a lot of poetry, but Thomas E. Spencer wrote one, which I found out talking to my youngest son. He said, I was studying banjo Patterson at school, and he went, how McDougal topped the score. And I said, I don't know that one. And so I looked it up, and it's by Thomas Spencer. It's a cricket yarn.
Is that not by Patterson?
No. And on that, just before I go in, who's reading out tonight? I haven't even asked that. Gabriel, George, Doug, Bowman. Probably. Steve. Yeah. All right. Margot, excellent. Let us know.
No.
Jones. All right. Goodo.
Oh, well, no, I read last week, but didn't matter. No.
Okay. All right. Well, would you want to come up after this, Steve?
Yeah.
Rightio. This is how McDougal topped the score. The score. Topped the score. A peaceful place as pipe is flat. The folk that live around, they keep themselves by keeping sheep and turning up the ground. But the climate is erratic, and the consequences are the struggle with the elements is everlasting war. We plough and sow and harrow, then we sit down and pray for rain, and then we all get flooded out and have to start again. But the folk are now rejoicing like they've never rejoiced before, for we played Molongo cricket and McDougal topped the score. Molongo had a head on it and challenged us to play a single innings match for lunch, the losing team to pay. We were not great guns at cricket, so we couldn't well say no, so we all began to practice and we let the reaping go. We scoured the flat for 10 miles round to muster up the men, but when the list was totaled, we could only number 10. Then up spoke big Tom Brady, who was always slow to speak, and he said, "What price McDougal, who lives up at Cooper's Creek?" So we sent for old McDougal, and he stated in reply that he'd never played at cricket, but he'd half a mind to try. He couldn't come to practice, he was getting in his hay, but he guessed he'd show the beggars from Molongo how to play. Now, McDougal was a Scotsman, a canny one at that, and so he started into practice with a paling for a bat. And he got Mrs. Mac to bowl to him, but she couldn't run at all, so he trained his sheepdog, Pincher, how to scout and fetch the ball. Now, Pincher was no puppy, he was old and worn and grey, but he understood McDougal and accustomed to obey. When McDougal cried out, "Fetch it!" he would fetch it in a trice, and until the word was "drop it," he would grip it like a vice. And each succeeding night they played until the light grew dim. Sometimes he struck the ball and sometimes the ball struck him. Each time he struck, the ball would plough a furrow in the ground, and when he missed, the impetus would turn him full 3 times round. The fatal day at length arrived, the day that was to see Molongo bite the dust or Piper's flat knocked up a tree. Molongo's captain won the toss and sent his men into bat, and they gave the leather hunting to the men of Piper's Flat. When the ball sped where McDougal stood firm planted in his trap, he shut his eyes and turned around and stopped it with his back. The highest score was 22, the total 66. When Brady sent a Yorker down and scattered Johnson's sticks. Then Piper's Flat went into bat for glory and renown, but like the grass before the scythe, our wickets tumbled down. 9 wickets down for 17, with 50 more to win. Our captain heaved a heavy sigh and sent McDougal in. £10 to 1 you'll lose it, cried a barracker from the town, but McDougal said, "I'll take it, mon," and planked the money down. Then he girded up his moleskins in a self-reliant style, threw off his hat and boots and faced the bowler with a smile. He held the bat the wrong side out, and Johnson, with a grin, stepped lightly to the bowling crease and sent a wobbler in. But McDougal spooned it softly back, and Johnson waited there. But McDougal, crying, "Fetch it!" started running like a hare. Molongo shouted victory out as sure as eggs when Pincher dashed through the crowd and rang through Johnson's legs. He seized the ball like lightning, and then he ran behind a log, and McDougal kept on running while Molongo chased the dog. They chased him up, they chased him down, they chased him round, and then he darted through the slipwhite rail, and the scorer shouted 10! McDougal puffed, Molongo swore, excitement was intense as the scorer marked down 20. Pincher cleared a barbed wire fence. "Let us head him!" shrieked Molongo. "Brain the mongrel with a bat!" Run it out! Good old McDougal, yelled the men from Pincher's flat, and McDougal kept on jogging, and then Pincher doubled back, and the scorer shouted 40 as they raced across the track. McDougal's legs were going fast, Malongo's breath was gone, but still Malongo chased the dog. McDougal struggled on when the scorer shouted 50! Well, they knew that chase would cease, and McDougal gasped out, "Drop it!" as he dropped within his crease. Then Pincher dropped the ball as instinctively he knew. Discretion was the wiser, and he disappeared from view. As Malongo's beaten men exhausted lay around, we raised McDougal shoulder high and we bore him from the ground. We bore him to McGinnon's where lunch was ready laid, and we filled him with whiskey punch, for which Malongo paid. We drank his health in bumpers, and we cheered him 3 times 3. When Malongo got its breath, they joined in the spree. And the critics say they never saw a cricket match like that when McDougal broke the record in the game at Piper's Flat. And the folk are jubilating as they never did before, for we played Malongo cricket and McDougal topped the score. Well, it's a bit of an epic, but it's certainly exciting, and it's one of the great things about poetry. You can make everyone laugh with it as well, eh? Well, Steve Wordsmith, welcome to the living legend of poetry 2021.
Thank you, James. Hey, it's always wonderful to be here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. It's always good to be able to spread a yarn and tell a tale, and I'm feeling a little bit like has anyone got chooks in their place and they've got the wings cut, you know, so it can't jump over the fence. So, you know, you've got to be careful when you fly at these times. So you don't say things that offend people, and I'm sorry if I've offended people in the past, but I'll try to keep my poetry in a way that it's not offending people. I met him first near Warren working on a starved out farm. He was skeletor and sallow, lean of shank and long of arm, wide lips and flared out nostrils that bespoke his native blood. Battler, scratching hard existence in this land of drought and flood. But he won a tight survival chasing rabbits day and night. He had no gun or ammunition, used to knock 'em out in flight with a waddy for a weapon. Jungle Rock was just the same, and he'd grab that groggy bunny and he'd say, that was deadly aim. Seldom off his target gave those spielers a little rest in them knock-'em sock-'em alleys in the showground out the west. The day that I enlisted, he was standing next to me, and I heard him tell the captain that his name was Darky Lee. Or often quiet and moody, lonely in a crowd, no doubt, or perhaps the dip of colour made him feel the odd man out. But he was a willing soldier and a dinkum cobber too, like the night the MP's quarters at that swai game in the loo. Yeah, he nailed that provost sergeant cold as any side of meat with a well-aimed whiskey bottle at the range of 20 feet. Mighty quick we were escaping, and I heard our mate exclaim as we scarpered through the alleys, fellas, that was deadly art. Then our mob embarked for service to a land across the sea where the final call awaited for this bloke called Darky Lee. It was at the Flanders dust-up at a place called Blardner's Court. We copped a bad position, yeah, men cut off without support, and that enemy machine gun keeping up a steady fire, safe and sound in their encampment beyond barricade and wire. Flat we lay like bloody lizards on that piece of shell-raked plain, and that enemy machine gun pelted lead like summer rain. Well, our choice was die like heroes, or the white surrender flag, when our officer decided it was time to sky the rag. Take your choice, a German prison or a group of unmarked mounds, when this bloke goes racing past me like a hare before the hounds strike me blue. But it was Darky, like an emu crouching low. In his right hand was a grenade swinging ready for the throw. No cover to protect him, dashing, daring as you please. where those Mitchell houses chattered and the bullets hummed like bees, and fair into that enemy gun pit he dispatched his first grenade. Screams were heard from brave men dying as that scarlet blossom burst. Then he sent 'em up another just as quickly as the first, German gunner or rabbit. It was all the same to our champion Bundy chucker. He maintained his deadly aim. Then a dying spurt of gunfire rang the bell on Darky Lee. By the time the medics got there, he was very nearly gone. Though his belly parts were punctured, his heart was hanging on, and in final grief we listened to the gasp that shook his frame, and the final words he uttered. Fellas, that was deadly aim. Just another unsung hero gone and hollowed and unsung, one of many number when the final curtain rung. Native son with small ambition, or our heart's decree, a soldier in the true tradition. Rest untroubled, Darky Lee. Something a little bit light-hearted, a bit more light-hearted for that. Okay. Near the sluggish River Gwyder lived this wicked red-backed spider who was just about as vicious as could be. Now the place he made his camp in was this Rusty Jones's jam tin in a paddock near the showground at Moree. Well, near him lay this shearer snoozing. He'd been drinking beer and boozing all the night before and all the previous day. And the cooking of the cookers and the noise of the Showtown spruikers failed to raise him from the trance in which he lay. Well, there came this crafty-looking spieler with a dainty-looking Sheila. They were collecting wood to make a fire, and he said, "There's a boozer, and he's going to be a loser if he isn't. You can christen me a liar. Well, you just stand and take it, honey, while I fan this mug for money, and we'll have some dainty luxuries for tea." But she said, "Don't be silly. You go back and boil the billy. You can safely leave this mug to little me." Well, she circled ever nearer to that dopey-looking shearer, his pockets bulging fast asleep and snug. But she never saw the spider that was circling round beside her. She was too busy with the money and the mug. Well, the spider needed dinner. He'd been daily growing thinner. He'd fasted long and for a feed did yearn. When she reached that shearer's pocket, he darted like a rocket and he bit that spieler's Sheila on the stern. Well, the Sheila started squealing. Her clothes she wasn't peeling. To hear her yells would make you feel forlorn. While one hand on the bite was pressing, the other was undressing, and she reached the camp the way that she was born. Well, the shearer, pale and haggard, back to town he staggered, where he caught a train and he gave the booze a rest. But he'll never know the spider that was living by the Gwyder had saved him 90 smackers of best. Yeah. It's always good to get here and tell tales and to see everybody's lovely smiling faces around the place and see the poetry that's going to be coming out. And I'm blessed that the world may be a better place because poets are in it. Thank you. Have a nice night.
MC
James.
Yeah,
Okay, James, have we got someone else coming on, mate?
yeah, invite someone up.
Okay, who would like to come up next? Would you like to come up, Doug? Come on, mate.
Doug.
Doug's always good for a good Come on, put your hands together for Doug.
Instead of asking, do I have a choice?
No.
Right, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Where's this thing? Good evening. If you're in yesterday, good morning. Short and sweet tonight. I do have a Judith Wright poem I'd like to read you one day to follow on with James, although I didn't bring it. I'll bring it next time maybe. Okay, this is called, well, you know I mixed with the ETs, you know that, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you expect? You don't want anything worldly or earthly?
No. Give him the cats, mate.
Okay, give it to him. The title of this is Visitors from Beyond, not visitors from next door. Anyway, I'll go here. The Western world view is on the screen of TV. We cover it all day. The views of the... Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'll start again. But when I have something I want to emphasise and go like that means inverted... That means commas. Is that okay? So that's what I do. I safely write them. The Western world view is on the screen of TV. We cover it all day. The views of the normal. It's all real, this deal. They teach and they preach. We swallow it whole. There ain't no parole. The course paranormal, so lacking in formal, waits quietly to guide us to strangeness. Calm down. The views so official and logical too keep all of us blinkered and zombified in line. We so want our safety, our guaranteed lives. We discard Mother Nature and the Spirit with truth. Just fill me with facts, dispense with unknowns. You feed me more bleak and rid me of self. You're running my show, I'm feeling so low. My earthbound intelligence is letting me down. The helpers unseen, the helpers unseen are suppressed. They won't give to us. We need gifts from them. These multitude beings are calling. Our time to respond is upon us. We're part of a family in a vast universe. Reciprocal action is happening. Ms. MS, I think she's Ms. Ms. Ifyani, I-F-Y-A-N-A, that's an unusual name. And she's a hybrid. And I know of her life. She says love creates all. Love's strong in all cosmos.
Agreed.
She will help us to grow, to open our minds, us earthlings so managed, potentials so blind. Find the love that exists in all of our kind.
Well, thank you, Steve. And I was looking at Doug's poetry online on YouTube. I do go back and I watch it all again because sometimes I miss stuff and I want to hear it more clearly and stuff. And that's hence the allusion to earlier, Angry Ant, because that was the one you did the other week. The other week, when Bronwyn was here, she did a wonderful bit of a memory thing from Shankaracharya, right? About detachment. And like sometimes it's like shit happens, right? And shit happens, as you know, that stick of shit happens, and there's shit just flying around everywhere. All kinds of shit coming at you from like your device, from what people send you on a telegram feed, from TV to a newspaper, which I even got a newspaper today. Yes. This newspaper, the Daily Telegraph, was free when I spent over $30 in groceries. It's the only way they can get people to read it. Is to give it away when you spend $30 of groceries. Anyway. So later on tonight, I've got a bit of a Ern Malley out of that newspaper. Now, and I'll tell you a bit more about Ern Malley later. I've also got pink merman tail. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll be changing later for your poetry pleasure. Well, you know, I was a zebra, then I was a dinosaur, now I'm going to be a pink merman.
Don't get a chant in it.
No, it's all right. It's in the poem, that part. Anyway, but back to the detachment stuff. There's so much shit happening around the world, and this is just something, that I wrote. A little quick one. As tough as the hide of a rhino, as slick as the back of a duck, I don't know what you know, but I know it's better not to give a fuck. Dodging the arrows and stones of a news feed that's infecting the mind. Broken people, not bones by smartphones. Beaten down by a system unkind. That's it. Yeah, there's so much stuff. I like to use the analogy when about the Matrix, when Neo's in the Matrix and we're all in some kind of a Matrix system. And the bullets are flying at him and he's just going, when dodging bullets, and he stands back up and they've just gone around him. Well, my other favourite analogy is when you walk into the surf and there are big dumpers on the shore and you've got two choices. You can like walk in like this and stand up to the dumper and it's going to go boom and you're going to get knocked down. Or you can dive in under before it breaks and just go with the undertow back in. It's like the theory of chaos change. In chaos systems they get, more and more perturbations till they reach up, and they get more and more complex until they reach up and they hit a continental shelf, and then they come up, and up on top there's all chaos and grrr, but underneath it's just calm and you just keep going with the flow in the undercurrent.
Get off the hooch, James.
Just go with the flow, man.
All too true.
All right, on that note, I'd like to invite George on up.
Oh, come on.
Come on up.
Alright, so this is not exactly traditional poetry. However, to me it's like poetry. It's little statements which trigger something within us. And it certainly got that effect on me. I'll just give you a little example of that. There are no diseases, there is only indulging. Right? That spoke to me when I read that about 25 years ago. It spoke to me. You only have a disease if there is an indulgence happening. And in this day and age, there's lots of indulgence, and that's why there's lots of disease. Anyway, moving on. The topic of tonight is I've called the tricks of time. And once you can comprehend what time is all about, or from a more grand perspective, then you can use it in a more practical way. And an example is, we could say that life is like a book, right? And your life can be like a book. And you can pick it up and you look at it from the back or the front, or you can skip through it to any page. But for you to live that life, you have to go through it one page at a time. Make sense? Yeah. But it's actually much more complex than a book. It's actually a lot more like an interactive video game, right? Because you've got lots of choices on every page. Right. Okay. And so I'll just go through some basics and then go on some practicalities which I've used in a workshop, right? How you can use time in a more effective manner. The illusion of time, that is. Well, the paradox of time is that every instant is too short to measure, and yet it's both infinite and eternal. In other words, if you try and measure the moment, you have to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and you can't get there. You know, it's less than 1 second, it's less than a millisecond, or a microsecond, or a nanosecond, or a what is it? P, it starts with P. Or even less than a femtosecond. You have to go so short, and you just can't get there because the moment is the instant, and the instant is too short to measure.
Now.
It's now, yes, that's right. And yet, it lasts forever. Right? It can't be measured because it's too short, and yet it's here all the time. Yeah. So that's a paradox of time. There is no rush to get anywhere when you're in the heart of the space of eternal. Right? So if we're rushing everywhere and all that sort of thing. But if you're in eternity, what's the rush?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
Another concept. Time and eternity are both in your mind and will conflict until you perceive time solely as a means to gain eternity or regain eternity. Right? So time is an illusion. I'll go into some of the Einstein stuff in a moment, where time is an illusion. So is space, apparently. And it's a product of mind. You know, that's necessary for us to go through page by page. Right? So it is a useful quantity. Eternity is one time, and its only dimension is always. Anyway, that speaks to me. Let's have a look at there's so much to share on this. Einstein said, time and space are not conditions in which we live, but modes by which we think. Physical concepts are free creations of the human mind and are not, however it may seem, determined by the external world. So your external world is actually a reflection of what's going on inside. Right? He also said time does not exist. We invented it. Time is what the clock says. The distinction between the past, present and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Yeah, well, maybe the sages of old have been telling us this for thousands of years, or however long you want to go back. Einstein comes to his conclusions in a very special way that we can all use. And what he said was, I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me. Yeah. It's a very effective way to be created, let's say. That's the source of
But the
life.
99 times of thinking are very important to get the one where you're not.
Perhaps, yeah.
That's the thing.
Have you heard of the saying, don't forget what it is?
Your time's up.
Yeah. There's a very powerful saying. Oh yes, I think so that I not I am so that I think. Is that right?
I think, therefore I am.
I think, therefore I am.
Yeah, that's it.
There's a problem with that, and you can unravel the problem with that to say, I think, therefore I am confused. Right? The
If you
intellect.
stop thinking, you won't be confused.
Well, that's the problem with the intellect. It takes you to a place which is illusory. However, the illusion is necessary for us to get through life.
In a physical plane.
Yeah, it is necessary. Yeah, because once you awaken, then there's no point being here anymore. Yeah. Another practical element that you can use once you understand these very simple little concepts is well, if you're not present in a conversation, you know, if you're thinking about what you did 2 days ago or you're doing 3 days in the future, you're not going to comprehend what is being said.
Not being conscious in the moment.
That's right, yes. Right. So you can use time more effectively by being in the moment rather than in the illusory past or the illusory future. You know, the past is gone. You don't need it anymore, right?
But Einstein said it was an illusion.
Well, he did, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but the present moment now is the only point of power. It's the only thing that really exists, according to the what we've examined. Another practical aspect. If you don't live your life by the clock, then you don't age. How useful is that?
Bring it
You
on.
don't have to hear it either, you don't know.
That's why I'm young.
Really.
That's right, yeah. You know, one day you might decide to leave the incarnation,
Oh, only if you decide to.
but you can make it, it becomes a choice instead of something that's forced on you. Right? Be in the moment. Take that step to another part of your journey, because it doesn't end there as far as I'm concerned. Just to accept rather than fight something which you've already pre-programmed at some level, some very deep level. Is that a sound to say sit down?
Well, actually, George.
Was that a
I
long
could call it a day.
Was that a long speech or a short speech?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much here, and I could
So
turn
we have to
it
stop
short.
him, guys. Go on all night.
Yeah.
That was all right. It's interesting.
Yeah, but very good.
Maybe I should just do one more, and then I'll run away.
Don't run away.
Run.
I'm not going to pick you one moment.
Well, this one relates to the law, and we can say that the only divine parts of creation is whatever is permanent. You know? If it's not permanent, it's not divine. It's a product of the ego, mind going crazy, right? And most of the time, that's where we are. Only divine law is permanent. Human law is impermanent and derives jurisdiction from ignorance only. Right? So, again, that's poetry for me because it's very profound. I find it. Thank you very much.
Good on you, mate. Thank you.
Well, linguistically speaking, if you don't have words that describe the future, like we'll do, and that describe the past that did or done, and if you had no prepositions like at, on, in, it'd be hard to comprehend time. And then linguistically speaking, other languages use their grammar differently. I today, or I do something today, or I do something tomorrow, or I do something right now, depending on where you're from. But anyway, this is something I wrote on my birthday. Well, how about that? It began at a one-dimensional point. It moved so that it could compare itself and became two-dimensional on a plane. Then, in order to gain more perspective, it moved aside to become three-dimensional in a space. After that, decided to add a fourth dimension called time as it spiraled through space at a time. Then the electromagnetic energy manifested as a field effect, and a fifth dimension manifested with a sound, and after that it evolved and the sixth dimension was born, the seventh, eighth, ninth dimensions. And the human brain has been shown to think in 11 dimensions. It became the 233rd dimensional being, and it became even more. That's it. I suppose that's my retort, my time retort. Yeah, that is it. What is time? We're right here, right now. On that note, I'm going to invite Margot up, and then Gabriel, and then Paul, and Ashton, and James, and...
No, I'll pass.
You'll pass, okay. And Saul, are you?
If you've got time, right?
Where's always... I get it, yeah. That's funny, yeah. As always.
I'm not sure if I've done any of these. Smoke. These are written by Richard John Stanley, my grandfather, who's now departed. Smoking troubles. Tomorrow then I told the world, they said, you must be joking. Tomorrow is the day, I said, the day I give up smoking. Tomorrow came, my high resolve withstood some savage testing. I thumbed my nose at all of those who said this fellow's jesting. So into bed that night I went, well pleased with my endeavour, and gave myself a little pat and told me I was clever. You've got it beat, old boy, I thought, and felt 6 inches taller, but never dreamed within a week I'd feel a great deal smaller. The second day, old Smarty Boots discovered to his sorrow that what he does today sometimes may not be done tomorrow. The trumpet which he's proudly blown to gather some attention was trampled in the dust, a fact deserving little mention. Poor Lady Nicotine, whose love for me remained unshaken, desired her lover back again and would not be forsaken. Translucent blue is what she chose to dress on this occasion, and shamelessly she drifted past in languorous persuasion. I looked her over up and down, a pleasurable feeling, her fragrant breath and mine exchanged to leave my senses reeling. My iron will was rent in two, old shaky hands went sneaking to manacle themselves again to what I'd not been seeking. To what I'd not been seeking. Maybe old Satan has a wife. Her wicked work has been well camouflaged and window dressed, called Lady Nicotine. But anyhow, as Hogan says, and let's forget the joking, the happy hunting grounds are thronged by those who kept on smoking.
Hey Margot, who is this, your father?
My grandfather.
Grandfather, what was his name?
Richard John Stanley. He's a
Okay.
poet. He's got a lot of poems. So I'll just give you a couple of
Where did he live?
Armidale.
Armidale.
He actually wrote in Armidale, if you've been here, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, you'd see a sign in town that said City for All Seasons, and he won second prize in the competition for that sign, and he got $50, and the winner got $1,000, but they chose not to use the winners, and they used his. So $50. But he got it up there for a while, so that was good. Beautiful saying, the City for All Seasons. This one I was just reading of his, A Matter of Taste. I care not one whit for those critics whose knowledge of course is immense, and who somehow have come to regard me as a man most incredibly dense. They say that my words lack perception, my phrases are lacking in taste. They even declare that to print it is a total and terrible waste. They may say what they will in their circle, but regrettably will not debate the merits of rhyming and rhythm, which they all most appreciably hate. Good, my friends, good, my readers, believe me, though I lack both perfection and art, though indeed my words may lack perception, they are words that are drawn from my heart. And the lines that I write have a reason that you won't have to look for in vain. You may laugh or may cry as you read them. Perhaps you may read them again. But take one from the moderns and read it. If you can, if you will, to the end. Then tell me, did you have perception, and how much did you comprehend? This is called The Last Race. I love this one. The race is on in earnest now, the winner beyond doubt. For time has on his running shoes and time is running out. I feel his breath upon my neck, my strength will never last. For years he trailed far behind, but now he's almost past. Good Father Time, I gasp aloud, and run with slackened pace. But hear only the murmured words, you've run your final race. Nor have I power to grant your wish, unspoken though it be. It is the one and only thing each mortal asks of me. But yet for those who serve me well, he whispered in my ear, your race may not be lost, but won. I tell you, have no fear. And one last one. The busy man. Look now, here comes a busy man, quick stepping down the street, on shoes that tap a message out from hurried worry feet. They're warning all to stand well clear, the scowl upon his face, an early morning greeting to the sordid human race. His eyes survey the pavement with a fixed, unfriendly stare, as is to give it warning of this malice in the air. And should he see you coming, it's too early in the day to mutter out good morning, so he'll look the other way. You see yourself, perhaps you will, if honesty's about, but then it isn't often that we let this fellow out. For most of us have locked the smile that should light up our face behind our bars of dignity, for fear it might disgrace the person that we think we are. But stop, reflect a while. You're never dressed up in your best unless you wear a smile.
Oh, I gotta consciously come up here smiling.
You're cracking me up.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. You know, you got to keep it in your dignity. Yeah, why not smile? I like the smoking one. Like I just stopped smoking very, very long ago, like about 10 years ago now. Yeah, I get it. It's hard, isn't it?
My mum used to go to a doctor's and I can have a cigarette out
Yeah, I like all those people like out the front of the hospital having a cigarette. And it's like, oh, what are you having a break from being sick, are you? Yeah, on that note, where am I? Oh yeah, I'd just like to say, thank you for bringing your grandfather's stuff in, and it's now immortalised here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, and that's one of the things that I'm grateful for, that I get to hear stuff like that's written however long ago it was, that probably no one's heard for a very long time.
Only the family would be the only ones.
And where were you reading that from?
I've got a whole list of them. My cousin typed them up after he died, and they sent them to me. I'm going to put them all in the book.
Okay.
Get them printed. So.
Sounds like
So
a
you put it in
plan.
a book, mate, or you have?
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Really good. There's a lot more. They're quite funny, some of them. So.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll invite our next regular reader up, Gabriel Donleavy. Thank you.
In April, I'm going to be away all month in Poland, and I expect to come back with stuff of all sorts. And that means I'm going to miss 3, maybe 4 sessions. So I usually read out 3. So if I do it in the normal capitalist way, I'd say, well, I'm therefore now entitled to read out 12. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you a bargain and keep it down to 5. And since there are proportionately more women than they usually are in the few meetings I've been to so far, it may be appropriate, or it may be inappropriate, that I've decided I'll select out my stuff that I've written about relationships, just a few of them. And I'm going to do it by focusing on different points in life. So I start with being at school and having to do English literature and having to read the classical poets. And one of the classical poets that we had to read at our school were the metaphysical ones and the ones in the 17th century, and in particular Andrew Marvell. And one of his most famous ones, which I'm not going to read in full because I want you to stay awake, but some of you would stay awake, it's called To His Coy Mistress, and you'll see why I'm selecting in a minute. Had we but world enough and time, this coyness lady were no crime. We would sit down and think which way to walk, and pass our long love's day, thou by the Indian Ganges side, shouldst rubies find, I by the tide of Humber would complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you would, if you please, refuse, till the conversion of the Jews, etc., etc., etc. He's trying to get her into bed, and he's written this long story. And so it seemed to me, therefore, that in order to attract an intelligent girl who also liked literature, you had to write in this style. But when I actually tried doing it, it didn't come out all that romantic. So this is one is called sort of an imitation of Marvell, or satire, or both, called To His Bored Mistress. You ask me what we'll do before we end our serial assignation. Well, though fools purport to draw the future's retroflex gyration, I shall not my plaudits pour on some strutting void oration. I scorn to feign that omniscience called prophecy or dire prediction to calm residual concupiscence. I know the laws of our existence mandate my late renewed rejection of your possible insistence. I'm very pleased to tell you I never said that to anyone. Now, slightly more engaged stuff. Every so often in our youth, and every so often later in life, you meet someone, you think, this is it, and you get infatuated or you fall in love, and it's sort of like wish fulfillment. So here's one I wrote in that spirit called Maya, M-A-Y-A. You cast a long shadow back over the years. I felt your presence in my future. I advertised for you, answered adverts in case they were you, broadcast out through the ether to you, wished and prayed for you to manifest. But when I saw you at last, demure in black, dark-eyed, I didn't realise who you were. Then you spoke in a soft and slurry, sad sound. And inside me stirred a word whose meaning had eluded me before, that everyone uses it all the time. But now I might also know how it is to come home. And then later in life we form longer term relationships. Some of us get married, some of us get married several times. And as a relationship matures, there's a kind of fondness you grow together, but there's also a lot of irritation. And so there's a sense of duty that can mount up that's built on a foundation, a historical foundation of love. And I've had this happen to me, and I wrote this one coming up to try and express a little bit of the contradictions involved. And this is called Folly Tree. He loves her too much to leave. She needs the person she thinks he is. He uses an ever finer chisel to sculpt his character for his script. She plants him in her garden. He plays the part of a churchyard yew. She sleeps beneath its canopy. His sap falls in, goes underground, emerges through flowers in distant field while she sleeps. He cannot leave, so returns when she wakes, every day until she dies. Perhaps the tree will live on. And lastly for tonight, when we get older, we're still just as stupid in matters of the heart. We fall for people. And we also get more, we're slightly better judges of, if not character, then certainly personality. And so we can get on so well with somebody that we think, oh, maybe this is it. And then after think, oh, you're kidding yourself, you idiot. Especially if it's a relatively fleeting encounter. So, here's one of those. I see in your eyes a child, by some glistening rain anointed, gazing out as if beguiled, inwards, never disappointed, disengaged from mundane friction. What inner stories so enthralling? You don't hear your soulmate calling. Is he fact or only fiction? Secrets deep behind your smile slide out from your soul to haunt me. Misty shapes beside the Nile whisper just too low to taunt me. Then I see you in my mind, beside me, lying silent, sleeping, pose that almost has me weeping, kind of cruel to be so kind.
Well, thank you very much. Food for thought. In the good news, the thunderously good news. You know, if you watch the news and read the news in the Daily Telegraph that they give you for free when you spend $30 because they can't actually get anyone to buy it. Yeah, you could be thinking the world's pretty crap. But in the good news, coffee, daily coffee may benefit your heart. That's good news.
Wow.
Yeah. General Electric has produced a first 100% recyclable wind turbine that can be reconstructed as it ages. And John Deere now has tractors that plough night and day with nobody in the cab, so you just like hit the button and they just plough up and down and do it all automatically with robots, so the farmers can go fishing.
Great poetry.
Yeah, that's right. They write great poetry out there in their tractors because they've got nowhere else to talk to. And the world's biggest treehouse resort is opening soon. Yeah, so that's exciting good news. But on that, well, I heard, I suppose...
You put all that out of that flimsy bit of paper.
Yeah, you hear about, like, Will Smith.
Yeah? Oh, yes.
You obviously did. Well, I heard that next year Mike Tyson's going to be hosting the Oscars. I can't wait to see what Will Smith looks like without ears, hey? Today, nothing else matters except Will Smith and Chris Rock. Not wars, not floods, not pandemics, not politics, not religion or the weather. Doesn't matter. Yep, folks. Will Smith being all macho and defensive of his sick wife. Doesn't matter about fuel prices. Not China. Joe Biden. Not Donald Trump. Not Wayne Bennett, the coach of the Dolphins. Not the federal budget. Not the approaching election. Oil stocks take a hit and Shanghai locks down, but that doesn't matter. No, Will Smith apologised with tears in his eyes. That's what matters. Hyperinflation doesn't matter. Homelessness doesn't matter. What is really, really, really important is that Will Smith hit Chris Rock.
You're calling that the slap?
Hey?
You're calling that the slap?
The slap, yeah. The slap, yeah. He's a slapper. Now, I mentioned earlier that I did a bit of an Ern Malley today, and I took this piece of crap, toilet paper here, and if I roll it up the right way, I can... There's Josh Frydenberg. The Ern Malley affair was, I think, 1943 or 44. Two Australian poets took a newspaper, cut it up, shook the words up, and then created these poems and sent it off to a publisher and claimed it was this manuscript they'd found of a dead poet, Ern Malley. And it got published, and then the truth came out and everything hit the fan. Well, this is my Ern Malley from today's Telegraph headlines. It's a working class plan. That's what it's called. It's a working class plan. How long can those taps keep running? Jobs, jobs, jobs. Halving the price pain. Skilled workers lift to fix shortfall. Icons preserved, help for traumatised kids, high life, low death. We're on a mission to reach for the stars, model mum to kick up heels, and riches under threat. Taken from the headlines in that one newspaper. From it's a working class to plan to riches under threat. Yeah, all right, on that, I'd like to invite Paul on up.
Here's the song, Paul. Oh, sing about the flood down Johnson Street.
Give us a break. Give us a break.
Okay, ladies, you can see me after the show. Now, this fella's shaken and stirred. He's crumbed and battered. You can knock him down, he'll just get back up again. He's played with the London Symphony Orchestra. He's played with the Bolshoi Ballet. He's played with Frank Sinatra. And ladies, he's played with himself a lot. This fella can put a glass on to sleep and plat sawdust. Give him a great big hand. Come on. Good to see you, Brennan. Good to see you. Now, tonight, again, I'm a little bit rough, a little bit dry, a little bit out of talent, very little talent, unlike all the other great contributors. I thought I heard earlier James mention shit happening. Would that be right?
Yes.
Would that be right?
Yes.
Well, James, I just got to say that the polite form of that word is chit. Chit. Right? Bear that in mind, James, when you start using the word chit. And chit generally happens in the presence of an archhole. George mentioned time, and I believe that someone went to interview the great scientist and asked Einstein to define time, and he said that's that which is on the hands of a clock. Tonight, I'm going to cut it short, keep it short, because we're running over time again. There's been too much joy, so I'll keep it short.
It's flooding in
Short. I'll keep it short.
It's flooding in Byron Bay.
Huh?
It's flooding in Byron Bay.
Look, we've got to stop talking about the floods there, Ashley. You know, my heart's flooding. I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? But what can we do? Not allowed to talk about the weather where I come from, or disease. Thank you.
Or Byron Bay.
No, well, you know, let's not talk about Byron Bay. Let's talk about me. That's a better subject.
Very witty.
Tonight, I do a song. It's a short song. It's a Johnny Cash song. I'll try to sing a Johnny Cash style. As a fake and phony Johnny Cash from Kyra. This one's called Miss Someone. And again, Professor, you would know this Johnny Cash song? 1970, so 1960 something.
Not so well that I can correct any
No.
mistakes you can.
But you'd be a fan. You'd be a Johnny Cash fan. We all are, aren't we?
Yes.
Beautiful man, wonderful man. And Johnny, apparently, when he got off the farm, picking cotton, he wrote his book. I've read his autobiography. Very nice man. He had a tough life, as those people did in that area. Very, very tough life. The dad was given a block of land by the government after war service, and those people nearly starved on that land. They got a hut and a smokehouse and 20 acres to survive on. And Johnny Cash had worked that way. They grew cotton and they got regularly flooded. And Johnny joined the Air Force. I don't know when, probably post-war. And Johnny Cash became the #1 Morse coder in the whole of the US forces.
Kidding.
That's fact, actually. I think. So, hey, check that one out. I don't like getting facts. Anyway, it's just very interesting. And this song tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is called, and poets, is called Miss Someone. Permission to start, Ashley.
1, 2.
Oh, thank you. At my door the leaves are fallen, a cold light wind has come. Sweethearts walk round together, but I still miss someone. I go out on a party and look for a little fun, but I find a darkened corner, 'cause I still miss someone. I never got over those blue eyes, I see them everywhere. I miss those arms that held me when all the love was there. I wonder if she's sorry
for leaving what we begun. There's someone for me somewhere, but I still miss someone. That's all. That's all.
Wow. Thank you, Paul, for your reading.
Thank you, James.
That's the line of the night. Let's talk about Byron Jones.
Oh,
You're
well,
going grave with that
I
one.
see, before I put on my mermaid suit and invite James up here, you're all talking about Byron Bay. You know there's that Netflix thing called Byron Bays, B-A-E-S. It's about Insta influences of Byron Bay. There's a bit of an uproar when it was announced that people of Byron didn't want to be perceived that way. Anyway, this is my poetry tribute to Byron Bays and Insta influences. Byron Bay hits the big time. The homeless capital of the Australian nation. Byron Bay with prawns and wine celebrates the selfie meme generation. Come to Byron, you can buy this hat. Does my ass make this dress look fat? I'm a Byron Bay stereotype with blonde teeth and a dress of white. Hi, my name's Elise. See my selfie with the Byron Bay police? I'm an influencer and I have good taste. Ignore those drunks there off their face. Byron Bays, we are your hosts. Please like and share my Instagram post. Byron Bays don't eat cake. Begging and busking and sleeping in the dune. Come to Byron Bay and sunbake. We hope to see your new bikini soon. The cocaine capital of the Australian rich, while a drunk backpacker spews in a ditch. I hope to see you at the Bay Hotel. Ew, what's that vomit smell? An Insta model. I made my own fame. It smells like piss down that lane. Can you spare a coin for me to eat? Byron is Westfield in a street. Byron Bay, what more can I say? Netflix is here with a dose of misogyny. Lovely to meet you. Have a nice day. Celebrating Instagram influence progeny. The 8th of April 2021, so last year. And on that, I'll invite James up. James Adams. Get my mermaid suit on.
Oh, you might look until you're done.
Pink furry condom.
So
That's the one.
I'm going to do some William Blake to start with, and kind of finish on as well. It'll tie in, I think, once we get to the end. And this is, to start, is both the introduction and end of Songs of Experience. Hear the voice of the bard, who present, past, and future sees, whose ears have heard the holy word that walked amongst the ancient trees, calling the lapsed soul and weeping in the evening dew that might control the starry pole and falling light renewed. O earth, return, arise from out the dewy grass. Night is warm, and the morn rises from the slumberous mass. Turn away no more, why wilt thou turn away? The starry floor, the watery shore, is given thee till the break of day. The voice of the ancient bard. Youth of delight, come hither, and see the opening morn, image of truth newborn. Doubt is fled from clouds of reason, dark disputes and artful teasing. Folly is an endless maze, tangled roots perplex her ways. How many have fallen there? They stumble all night over bones of the dead, and feel they know not what but care, and wish to lead others when they should be led. And this is the last entry of what was kind of my second journal. See through, see past, the senses to last. Remain beyond, to strike the bond with everything that's everywhere. Will the environment sing, if owed to care, awake to bear, perception secrets will share. If read right, in the general light, flows into night, can flood in sight. Too active, or not nearly enough, who has the courage to call that bluff? To gamble on what is real, is to perpetuate a while still. Whims on which to pass are as delicate as glass. Be careful where you tread, o'er the valleys of need, a warning with which to heed, eternity and space to lead. And then these were written a bit like the last couple I think I did, sort of in quick succession. This one starts off with a skit from an American comedian called Bill Hicks. And he said, we need to focus or we'll pay a higher psychic price than we can imagine. And that's how it starts. Focus, a higher psychic price than we can imagine. As growth moves as rapidly as Kinsey. This life environment, what we put ourselves in, if we put ourselves in it, it hit to the shin. To sea level playground, and it is thin, what we're skating at this very moment. An abstract of thought, perception of instance. Can you calculate time and a distance? ETA. Crystal conception of focused persistence. Insistence that what we are doing is right. Can you see the clarity of insight? Visions of darkness do not lead to a height. Fear as a culture, slip on thoughts that are slight. Lucid perception, present to future, presence of might. Flow with the change as wind to a kite. Guided by what we cannot see, but is always there. A feeling before my senses. And I fail to grasp before time is past, and this instance to last. A glow as to cast. Absence clear fast. To go straight through what is normally an obstacle. To be part of an abstract spectacle. In minute form, only a molecule. Past future feel, last tense heal, past tense feel. Shadows and shading, cast what is here. Missing reflection, hidden in tear, as thou cry for this world. And then this one, I was thinking a bit about Chiron or Sharon or depending on how people have a few different pronunciations of her. But anyway, the centaur, Sagittarius kind of idea, archer idea. And it finishes, I'll just say William Blake because it helps keep the rhythm at the end a little bit. But it's, when I say WB, it's William Blake's an answer to the passing. It's titled Augment Position of Ideas. To pass on in these immortal coil, this immortal coil, for the teachings to be left behind. My thought in an arrow, so new to illusion, the power you find. Butterfly effect, chaos theory, cause to defect, leads minds to be weary. Truth to realise, in these words you will hear me, held in the heart as love is to dearly. See thought in mind, flawless crystal clearly, elusive deception can sway confident minds nearly. Question all answers, conceive, understand, is it really? You're an abstract idea, it is merely. The truth of this world, conceived of conceived of less likely, a vision unfurled like the shadows brightly. Between life and death, tangled in array, a plain unearthed land dance play. Come what may, what do you say? Infinitely. Past a future veil, perceived manifestation reality, and it is real. If I was to unleash this world from the burden of being tied down by belief and restrictions, all that inhibit us, that we never knew but could, escape the ceaselessly running thief. Present tense sus with a mum and fuss. Go forward and back, run this life's track, zigzag to tack, tactful. Dictation behind foretells that head, a path to choose, or will you be led? Decisions once said, create, compose that which is true. Universal laws trodden on, fabric stitch, ready gone, tied together, apart torn, the silkiest face looks forlorn. That which is newborn, memories old mourn, in a time that is torn. W.B. Why of the sheep do you not learn peace? Because I don't want you to shoe my fleece. Sean.
You need a tutu.
That was nearly trying to me like last week when he had the phone language in Friday.
Yeah, no, not at all. No.
It's a short one.
Yeah, okay. Let's hear from Bronwyn before I. So, yeah, this or no?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Just I've got it.
Look, I've always loved this poem, ever since I was 16 or something. But I forgot everything but the first line as time went on. What intrigues me is that I said to my sister in the dementia ward, I've got this memory of this poem I loved. It's like I must go down to the seas again. And then she finished the next few lines. And the same thing happened in Boo Books today. This really old, sweet old guy. I said, can you help me find who wrote this? And I reckon a lot of you will know it anyway. Sea Fever by John Masefield, English. I'm interested to see how many of you have heard it. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky. And all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white sails shaking and a grey mist on the sea's face and a grey dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trip's over.
Bravo.
How many of you have heard it in school?
Little
bits and pieces. Well, that is what I just want to say before I leave is I love the way that kind of a poem brings a sparkle to people's eyes in the dementia ward, or people like me who are beginning to forget things. You know, there's a place for it.
We're on the way to the sea to see.
Yeah, and thinking of the tragedy of the seas now, this is such a romance, such a nostalgic kind of a memory. We longed for beach holidays. We used to go to Yamba. So I just wanted to bring that in, nostalgia for the good old days.
That's why I'm dressed as a merman. I must go down to the sea today, but I'd like to invite Saul Caferella on first.
Down to the sea, the pink frothing sea.
You said go down, Saul. I thought you said go down then.
Go down to the sea.
Ah.
Yeah, been one of those nights, hasn't it? Sort of, I think time got mentioned in like the first 4 people's things, and you know, going home.
Synchronicity.
Gabriel brought up one about the home sort of thing, and I thought I might read one that sort of is a little bit like that. To start with, home is not a place, it's a feeling. So, home is not a place, it's a feeling. All the hills and valleys, desert sands and seas, I have known, I have seen. The feeling you impressed on me when I kissed you. I have never had a home till I met you. The currency of life each day we spend, all the joy and happiness, sweet caress and love. I have known, I have shown. I am so honoured to have spent some time with you. I have never had a home till I met you. Home was but a notion way beyond. You took me all the way beyond the beyond. Misty haze, purple rain, gone, but the feeling of the home I love remains. Home is not a place, it's a feeling. To go home, it only takes a minute to glance up at the moon and reflect on all the hours I have spent with you. Thank you. Then this one's a little bit just about the worldly sort of thing at the moment, which is all a bit sort of dire, and people are doing some pretty weird stuff around, so yes. Have we forgotten what it is to be human? Have we forgotten how to break bread? It's more than just being right and knowing. It's more than just keeping the children fed. How do we tell the poor there's no money? Why do we stand for the wealth of so few? No change in our heart leaves no change in the dollar for the penniless, the homeless, and the starving Baloo. When will we, I'll go down here. Have we forgotten that light is a rainbow? Have we forgotten what Bob Dylan said? It's the colourful shades of the human condition that the masters of war want to turn all blood red. How do we fight for the gods of our choosing? How can so many others be wrong? We are not born with the God assignation. Everyone just wants to belong. When will we see that life is for sharing? We have only one planet, only one place that we can call home. When will we see that we'll kill it not caring? Why do we cut off the nose on our faces and turn a blind eye for a trinket of gold? Just on a thing that you were saying, George, you were saying about the, everything is always type of thing, always, just put me in mind of a thing that Nilsson said, in The Land of Point. He goes into the pointless forest and he comes across a sign that has a point in every direction. He's going, I just don't know which way to go. And the big rock says, well, you have to understand that a point in every direction really has no point at all.
Get that fish up.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Just had to take a selfie. That's alright, there's no phone in it.
He's gone nuts.
You need to tuck your shirt in so we can see your food.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hang on. Now you can see me pink bits down here. For people out there can't, so we'll just take this sign down. They can see me. Merman. I'm a merman. It's one of my favourite lines from the film Zoolander, Ben Stiller. They're about models who get the job of being a merman, and he gets very offended when he gets called a mermaid. I wrote this especially for tonight because, you know, I've had the onesie theme going over the last few weeks, from the zebra to the green dinosaur to now.
So did you have the fins before the poem? Or did you
Oh no,
I've
had the fins for quite some time. Yeah. I awoke one day, and just because I can, I changed myself into a pink merman. I know you think a pink merman is weird, but I've got male genitals and I've got a grey beard. I'm a pink merman and my name is Jim, mate, Sea Cucumber, and I love to swim. I graze sea grass and I love to surf, but if I were blue, I'd be a Smurf. I'm a pink merman, I drink coral lemonade, I'm a pink merman and not a mermaid, and when I get thirsty I drink coral lemonade. I love leisurely swims in the marine park with my best friend, who is a dog shark. I'm a mermaid, a mammal, not a fish. I live in Atlantis and I can grant a wish. I live in the ocean at the bottom of the sea with a harem of mermaids just for me. They wear no tops and I can see their breasts. Their pink bits too. Being a merman is the best. But when I get tired of their mermaid shit, I just change back to a man and I walk away from it.
Majestic.
Well, on that note, we'll just finish off the evening. Thank you very much for making it a wonderful night here. There's a bigger crowd than ever's been here before. Thank you for everybody who's poed tonight, prosed, sung. Don't forget to like it, subscribe, and Friday night here, you're all invited to the Ghostly Fools party, 7 o'clock here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Also coming up, the 8th of April is the Pacific Island night here. That's with the Vanuatu String Band, hopefully. The 9th of April, that's the 8th of April, the 9th of April, Fiore Musicale, you can get tickets online. And then the 17th of April, Graham Bishop and friends comes, that's Easter Sunday in the afternoon here. He'll be doing a piano performance. He's one of Australia's, very experienced performer for both solo and playing all styles of bands from corporate hotels, clubs and theatres Australia-wide. Graham and Bishop and Fiore Musicale and the Vanuatu String Band coming up. And Friday, 2 days, April Fool's Party. Thank you very much. Go to Facebook, share it about, or YouTube, give it a thumbs up, share it to your friends as well, subscribe, and thank you, and we'll see you again next Wednesday or earlier.